Welcome to Chronicles of Old Singapore. This is Dr Loh KS, and I speak to people about their memories of Singapore before it became a global city. I have done a number of podcasts on education before, schools in particular, because I'm fascinated with schools. I'm a former teacher myself, history teacher, and the schooling experience has been so much part of the lives of our various generations in Singapore, from the baby boomers, coming to the present day. James has, of course, come onto the podcast previously to talk about his family and his childhood, and particularly his mother, who was a woman in white with the PAP in the 50s and 60s.
And then the Barisan.
And then the Barisan briefly, right? Yeah. Very interesting podcast. If you haven't heard it, please check that out. But I would also say that James is a remarkable human being, spending his time very fruitfully, including translating Cantonese for me. And one of the places on Facebook that I want to post this to later on when the podcast is ready is the seniors. Have you heard of this seniors in Singapore? It's a Facebook group. Have you heard of this, James? This group?
Yeah, that's right.
Are you a member?
I heard about that. Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Seniors in Singapore. In fact, I've been tuning in to quite a number of these seniors to remember who we are,
Oh,
where
there's
we came from.
so many,
Yeah, so many. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, the idea of aging actively, active aging and giving back in a way, right, to the community. Yeah. So the podcast is also a way of giving back, so that the seniors can share what they did in the past, to remember where they came from. And these are very common and shared memories among older Singaporeans. Okay, so a few more words about what we intend to accomplish with the memories of schools. First, I think we want to acknowledge the policies, the school policies. After the Second World War, there was a 10-year education plan, which first started with the building of many primary schools. And James would also later on teach in one of these primary schools, and subsequently secondary schools, right? And this leads to the second point, which is the social history of schools, which is much less documented than the policies, right? So we want to look at the memories of schooling from the point of view of the students, the teachers, and whatever went on, in the 10 hours of schools, or however long people spend in schools. The number of hours rose over time. The third point that we want to look at will be change and continuity, because many of the schools are gone. They have merged. Some of the buildings are gone. Some are demolished. And I think there is an increasing lack of orientation, right, for those of us who have gone to schools, because the schools that we went to, where we spent our childhood, are no longer around. And this explains why there are so many alumnus groups on Facebook for the schools. So previously, we have looked at Dunham Technical School. Charles Nui spoke about being a student there, one of the pioneer batch, and then C. Kunalan was a teacher there in the 70s. So I really want to do more podcasts on the old schools of the 50s and 60s, 70s. So James is going to help us kickstart a look at two schools in the east of Singapore. Victoria School, where he studied, which has a very interesting history. And then a school that I didn't know, actually, James, Kwok Avenue School, because largely is no longer around since the 80s by name. Where James was a teacher briefly, a very successful and dynamic teacher. So, James, are you excited to be on this podcast about Victoria School and Kwok Avenue School?
Yeah, Victoria School is something more. The school that watched me grow.
That's a good start to our podcast, school anthem. What about Kwong Avenue? Do you remember the school anthem, school song?
Oh, I see. The thing is, we didn't pay much attention to the school anthem, and it was composed much later. I think in the year before, just 2 years before I left, and I was a teacher there, and I think they only taught the anthem to the schools in the music class. So I, being a teacher, I didn't have the privilege of attending the music class among the students.
Okay.
I was more on the sports and classroom teaching side.
Right. So it started without a school song.
Yeah,
Ah,
and then later on, because of some competition, the school principal, Mrs. Koo Un Ho, she composed a song. I think it was because I just remember the school motto was "Learn to serve."
right.
Learn to serve, and then the final line is, "With steadfast love, we learn to serve, and Kwong Avenue School forever."
Mm.
With steadfast love, we learn to serve, Kwong Avenue forever.
Unfortunately, that's not true anymore, right?
Yeah.
But at least we know now the teacher who composed the song. Right? She was a music teacher. What's her name again?
The school principal,
The school principal.
Mrs.
Okay.
Koo Un Ho,
Great. Wonderful.
and she came from a family of pastors and and other people in the education in Singapore's education world.
Yeah. Right.
She has passed on already.
Okay.
Mrs. Koo Un Ho.
Great. We'll come back to her later on, but let's go back to Victoria School. So this is an extremely old school.
Yes.
It's about 150 years. Established in 1876 as a Malay school, it seems. Then initially at Kampong Glam, and then Tyrwhitt Road, where the campus where you studied in 1930.
Actually, it was when I went in there. It was in Tyrwhitt Road,
Tyrwhitt,
which
yeah.
is actually off Jalan Besar,
Right.
facing the New World Amusement Center, amusement park. 1960 was my first year there.
I see.
So if you can remember Jalan Besar, and then the entrance of the New World Amusement Park, just looking across will be Victoria School. And today the Victoria School is occupied by People's Association.
Mm.
I'm glad they preserved the building.
That's
but
right.
Of course, inside, yeah.
Right. Okay, I see. So in 2010, the premises at Tyrwhitt were designated as a heritage school. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Heritage site.
That was long after I left.
Yeah. Have you ever gone back to that campus?
Oh, yes, to the campus, because for a while, in 2015, I was working on projects with the People's Association. So I went back to the school on People's Association duties.
Mm.
So for me to go back there and then look, our premises still around. And then once you went into the back, it's all aircon. Oh, no, not at those days, no aircon. Because I was there for 6 years, from the beginning of 1960 to the end of 1965. Just as 1965 was also a momentous year for Singapore.
Yeah.
We finally got our full independence after separation from Malaysia.
That's right. You were there for 6 years.
Yeah, Sec 1 to A level.
I see.
Means pre-U2. And interestingly, when I went in, I didn't go into Sec 1. It was Form 2 under the colonial system.
Right.
And then the two A-level classes were the lower 6 and the upper 6. That's how they call it. Those days, lower 6 and upper 6 were today's pre-U1 and pre-U2. But of course, today they don't use the word pre-U anymore in the junior colleges.
Mm.
I don't know how they call it. I think JC first year, JC second year. And so Form 2 was where I got into. And so 4 years in secondary school, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. Form 5 was known as Senior Cambridge. Today's equivalent is O level lah.
Mm.
So it was still very colonial when I first went in. And in fact, I was quite overwhelmed.
You were quite overwhelmed in what way?
Because now, say, I came from a neighborhood school, Rayman School, and then the school is really no more, but the school premises, Rayman School, is still preserved as the head, it's the Handicap Welfare Association of Towner Road. Even Towner Road, that stretch also renamed Whampoa Drive. So back in Rayman School was the neighborhood school in Rayman Avenue or Rayman Estate, and that estate is also gone. So you got to go into our good old Google to look for Rayman Avenue and Rayman Estates. So Rayman School is no more. It was a small primary school, single story, and we didn't even have a proper school field for our school sports. We have to use McNair School. Today, McNair School also gone. Along Towner Road, McNair Junction. So I came from a small neighborhood school, which was unknown. And then suddenly I came into this school with grand old buildings, with columns and pillars. So, wow. And the principal and the senior teachers wear ties. So it was a shock for me lah. As a secondary one boy, one in there, wow. And you want me to tell my personal feelings about the school?
Yes, please.
I went into the school simply because my grandmother wanted me to. My mother's mother, she had two sons, and the younger son was a scholar. And this younger son was a Victoria School boy. And he won a lot of books as prizes for his achievements. And so when we reached primary 6, sometime in the middle of the year, we were asked to choose our schools, 4 choices. So our teacher says, okay, you 3 guys here, the top 3 in the class, primary 6A, choose Raffles Institution, choose RI. Why? Because RI is a very famous Singapore school. Many of our top guys came from there. So I went back. I told my mother, teacher, our school teacher says choose RI as first choice. But my grandma said, no, Victoria School. Because that was where my son went. That was what she told me. And her son did not complete Victoria School because the war came and he died during the war. So my grandma wanted me to go to Victoria School to sort of continue the tradition of somebody going to Victoria School. If her son could not complete, then maybe her grandson could. So that was how I ended up choosing Victoria School as my first choice, and I got it.
Victoria School, of course, also has its own, famous students, isn't it?
That's right.
I had a previous podcast with Peter Chua, who is your senior. And he mentioned people like David Nair, Dana Balan,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yusof
Yes.
Ishak.
Edwin Tambu.
Edwin Tambu.
Eh,
Who were your contemporaries? Do you know any of
So
them?
my contemporaries were quite a number of them lah.
Mm,
Uh, and a few of them went on to A level with me and became doctors.
mm,
But sadly, four of them has passed on.
mm,
Yeah. And among those in my same level from secondary one onwards, I've lost touch with them. But only those who continue with me until A level, second year, as and when I catch somebody, I say, "Hey, you look familiar. Were you from Victoria School? Ah, yeah, you. I remember you." And then we sit down and talk.
mm.
And then they tell me, "Hey." So I ask, "Do you know where is so and so?" Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. But one guy I remember is a guy called Ko Chun Yong.
Ko Chun
He
Yong.
was with me from Sec 1
Mm.
to to A level second year. And in fact, he was the one who got me out of teaching into the commercial world
Oh,
later
okay, okay.
on.
I remember him now. Yeah.
Yeah, Ko Chun Yong. Yeah, that's right.
So, besides the air conditioning, right?
Yeah.
The school is largely unchanged from the time that you were there today.
It has changed very much
Uh,
because the school rooms are now used as meeting rooms,
right.
small meeting rooms, and the atrium has been converted, and the old servants' quarters, which were at the back of the school, they had servants' quarters where they live, and the servants raise chickens and, if I'm not surprised, even goats. Goats. And then where the servants live, they're mainly Malays. I think they're all Malays. One of them is a guy called Mr. Hussein. And they raise, well, chickens and goats, and they also planted trees. And very prominent were the banana group, was a banana grove. And of course, banana grove means Tales of Hauntedness by Pontianak. So there are stories of, our back of the school is haunted because those days there were plenty of Pontianak movies on
Mm.
on in the cinema. So so don't play, don't stay late, get out straight away, go home. Don't wander to the back. Don't wander among the banana grove, the banana trees.
What about school camps? Did you have school camps?
There were school camps,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, I didn't attend any because the school camps were organized by uniformed groups like the National Cadet Corps,
Yeah.
uh, and the Boy Scouts, of course. And the Boy Scouts is even the Boy Scouts itself, the they call it the number 6 arrow or sixth arrow group, six arrow group. They produce quite a lot of friends, but I could only look admiringly at them. I couldn't join them because under my own family was, I had this problem with when I was a kid. I had kidney problems. I had all kinds of diseases,
Mm.
and my superstitious grandmother and the other adults in the family consulted with the shaman or the temple priest, and they told me this kid must not exert himself. If he sweats too much, he'll die.
Mm.
So I was there. I was constrained. So I wasn't allowed to join uniform groups. I wasn't even allowed to join sports. So imagine Victoria School is famous for sports. It produced a lot of sportsmen. And in the 1950s, before I went to Victoria School, there was one famous runner. called Kesavan Soon. Kesavan, Kesavan, and Soon, Soon. He made a lot. He was making headlines in the sports pages. Fast schoolboy, and he was competing against a guy called Ernest Frida, I think, from Raffles. So when later on Kunalan competed against Jagatasan, reminds me of on a smaller scale like in Singapore, it was Kesavan Soon against Ernest Frida. And then another sportsman whom we produced by Victoria School was Mr. Lau Teng Chuan. Mr. Lau Teng Chuan, who became Dr. Lau Teng Chuan, he'll be very well known among sportsmen of my generation. And he went on to become, I think, Singapore National Olympic Council chairman, Lau Teng Chuan. And okay, I remember also very strong impression, my first school principal, Victoria School, Mr. Paul Bishkanaden. You Google his name in Facebook, you see him known being called the grandfather of Singapore music, because he was instrumental in bringing music to Singapore schools. Of course, there are other people who are with him now.
What kind of music would this be?
Huh?
What kind of music?
Oh, school music. I think he also composed anthems for big occasions. But he didn't compose any national songs. But he was very much Singapore Youth Orchestra.
Okay, okay.
He was there after
classical music, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the sports were like sprints, is it? Athletics.
Okay, athletics. Then in my year, the sprinter was a guy called Low Low Sin Chok. He also made headlines in the sports pages. Low Sin Chok.
Got it.
And then also there was sports. There was athletics. And I remember another very strong runner, or a few of them. 3 Indians. They are very strong runners. And they were also making news in the newspapers, especially when they featured combined school athletic meets. Yeah, so there of course there's football, there's rugby, basketball. But I think Victoria School football was quite famous, and the district that we are in was I think it's McNair district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
and they
all were
always champions there.
correct, frequently
Champions of our district.
District champions. National level? Did the Victoria School win at the national level?
National level, I think they won a few. But at that time, I didn't pay attention to the sports news because I was a non-sportsman, sadly.
Yeah, which is a bit strange, right? Because later on you became a PE teacher.
Yeah, I think also because I went into sports with a vengeance, making up for lost time. Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah. Could we take a look at the photos? Actually, James had sent me a link to the MOE website on Victoria School. Maybe we can look at some of the photos of the school.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I mean, gives us
I don't have it with me.
No problem.
Yeah.
You can see it, right?
Yes. That is the grand old building. This one is a painting.
Yeah. So this is what
but
building?
In 2018, April, Victoria School had an unveiling ceremony of the Victoria School boy carrying a bag, wearing shorts. So that was the unveiling of the Victoria School boy statue in the Victoria School premises. Of course, it has been taken over by People's Association already. Yeah, so it was like that. And then
Right.
so from a small kampong, I went into the school, and we stood every morning. We stood in front of this during school days, and we got to stand there and sing the national anthem, Majulah Singapura, and also the school song.
Mm.
So it was very imposing. So
This
look
is
at the
the
ancient,
admin
yeah,
building, is that right?
yeah. So no, admin building is actually so right in the center.
Yeah.
Uh, the admin rooms were in the center. After we walk up the row of steps, the staircase that lead into the second level, and then we turn right, and then there'll be the principal's office.
Yeah.
And along the corridors, all these were classrooms.
Ah, okay, okay.
Uh,
There are some other photos. This one's quite small.
yeah.
This is where you sang the school anthem and the national
Yes.
anthem.
Yeah. And then looking at this parade also,
Mm.
when I was there in Sec 1 or Form 2, we were in the classrooms, and then we could hear the band playing because they were practicing the marches. So you see here there's a grass,
Yeah.
but separating the grass lawn or grass, the field, from the main building was a road. Uh,
Right.
was a cemented road.
Correct. Yeah.
And so when they're marching there with the boots click clack click clack click clack, I could hear them shouting commands. For
Mm.
me, wow, bang, command.
Uh-huh.
So that was part of my Sec 1 experience.
And the building behind, that's another building, right? Is that classrooms?
Let me see. No, this is another building. This is
Uh,
outside the school already.
outside the school.
So
Okay.
now, so you can see where the commander is standing,
Mm.
and you can see the two flag posts,
Mm.
and you see the parade ground. We use the field as a parade ground.
Yeah.
That's another for a smaller parade ground. And then separating, so the field actually separated Jalan Besar Stadium from Victoria School. So big field, across there, Jalan Besar Stadium, and then here's the Victoria School building.
I see. Let's look at this is the field also, right?
So these are Victoria School, the houses.
Mm.
Rocho House, Kapo House. So yellow, green, white, blue, red. So all these are the names of the houses, which are named after areas in Singapore. Rocho, Kampong Kapo,
All right. Yeah.
Wampo, Kampong Glam, Kalang.
The places nearby lah, right? Sort of nearby
Yeah.
in the area.
Yeah, I remember mine was Kapo House,
Ah, okay. What color is that?
green.
Green. Okay.
But no point. I participate only in the cheering, not in the running.
Okay. Let's see this one.
That was our school uniform.
School uniform, yeah.
Khaki shorts and white shirts.
It's
That was our
changed, right?
uniform.
No longer now it's pants, is it?
I think we started to wear long pants only when we were in doing our pre-U 1, pre-U 2.
Okay, okay.
But now I think they changed a bit now.
Yeah, I remember my Victoria School friends were wearing long pants. My students, yeah. Classroom, oh my God, blackboard.
Then the girls came to Victoria School only for A levels.
Okay, okay. I see.
Only A levels. So today is Victoria Junior College. Victoria Junior College today is boys and girls co-ed. And Victoria School still remain as it is a boys' school. So Victoria, thy sons are we.
Oh no, you have to change.
So Victoria JC, they cannot say Victoria School.
You see on the blackboard, they're actually studying about delinquency.
I think this could be a debate that's going on.
This is the band.
This one is a band.
And you can see the
This is the
architecture
layout
here.
of the school.
There's a garden. You have a garden, right?
Yeah, so the garden is a later addition.
Mm.
So when I went there, we only had the E, like the letter E, A B C D E. In front is a school field. That's a long block, and then there are two side blocks, shorter ones, and the center portion are the school science labs: physics, chemistry, zoology, botany.
I see.
So the E, so when we look at the E, this stretch, the one in the center, the science blocks, shorter than the other two. And the schools, the school corridors, and
Yeah.
then the school classrooms. That was it, lah.
Yeah.
See, those days no fans. The fans were only in the principal's meeting, in the principal's office, the common room.
There are no
So
fans
they
in the
can see.
classroom. There are no
No
fans in the
fans in the
classroom.
classroom.
How
No.
do you survive?
So I think maybe in those days, not yet no climate warming yet, lah. Yeah.
Well, the teacher must be really xiong, right?
But then all the doors and windows are open.
Okay. Was it quite windy, you think?
Yeah, so for us, somehow or other, it was okay. Yeah.
Afternoon
I
will
think
be...
later on the fans came in, but not during my time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Afternoon will be quite humid.
Yeah. So for me, thank God, I those days only single session for us.
Yeah.
But there was also, when the PAP first came into power, they introduced a 6-day school from 1960 onwards. So in Victoria School, I think my first 2 years, or maybe my first 4 years there, was 6-day school.
Mm.
And the Saturday school was where we meet our principal, Mr. Paul Abishkanathan, and he makes sure that we sing the school song properly. So in fact, I think that the singing of the school song drum a kind of camaraderie in us. So when we see old Victorians, we test each other. I begin, you end, okay? Or you begin, I end.
Was
Victoria School in Singapore, yeah.
Was school discipline quite strict?
Yes. School discipline was very strict. And in fact, I remember when I was in my Sec 1 year, the senior master, I think he's a British guy, Mr. West, AJF West, not Southeast West, West. He came to the morning assembly and he announced, yesterday at inter-school soccer match, we behaved very badly. And I think there were a few there, one with a rattle. Identify yourself by coming forward.
Wow.
Wow. Just like that, simply because they misbehaved or they became rowdy at an inter-school football match. Next morning, the head, the senior master, summon them, come out before we catch you.
Did they?
And obediently, 6 guys went up there.
They admitted.
Yeah, they admitted.
Okay, at least they are honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mr. West, he went on to write a lot of geography books. If you just Google AJF West Geography, you see a lot of books written by him.
Okay, James. James, so I'm interested in what was the experience of being a student in the 1960s?
Well, as a student those days, we are really everything the teacher say is law. And even though we face unfair treatment in the school, we didn't, at least in my family, we didn't dare to go home and complain. Simply because our background is humble, and every time whatever the teacher say is correct. Now, for example, Sec 1, everybody, all boys, have to report for what we call standard tests. Just go back to school and then get in the afternoon and be tested for various things. Run 50 meters or do whatever things. They call it standard tests. And so being prohibited by the family to visit the school. I mean to go back to school for all these sports. I didn't attend. And then the next day, one of the senior boys came around to my class and read out my name. Okay, the teacher read out my name. Okay, yesterday you didn't attend Sunday class. Go and see the principal or see the housemaster. I remember it was Mr. Chow Kai Lok, who also went on to write geography books. Mr. Chow, CHOW, very good teacher. Later on, when I became his student, but he was doing the upper levels. And then after school, went back, went to the meeting room. And then those of us who didn't turn up for the standard test, okay, all of you attend detention class. Detention class. So I could explain to him that my parents or the people in my house forbid me from participating in sports. And I can't go back to my house and tell my people that I got detention class simply because you didn't allow me. So all these things got me to be quite fed up with the whole thing.
Yeah.
But later on, when I became a school counselor, it helped me. Because I could relate with kids' problems. Miscommunication between school and family. So that's how I won the hearts of many of these difficult kids.
Right. Later on, when you became a teacher,
and then after I became a teacher, but for the final parts of my life, I was a school counselor.
Okay.
And a school counseling trainer.
So that's very interesting, because do you think then the students today or recently, share the same kind of problems that the students in the past did?
Yeah, I think today's problems I think might be more difficult because the parents are educated, but the parents are too busy working.
Yeah.
And then when the kids have problems, what kind of problem you have? Okay, you don't understand schoolwork. Okay, tuition. But then what is happening inside the kid's mind and the heart? This is something which is different from our time. But my time, I experienced such things. School punished me, but I can't go back to school to the family to complain. And I can't tell the teacher that my family forbade me from sports. So caught in that the conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's another story.
So I want to know if, when you went to school, what were your parents' objectives? What did they want you to achieve?
What they want me to achieve was do well, don't get red marks, and get promoted. That's all. Get promoted and no red marks.
And what did they want you to achieve out of the education, later on?
Get a good job.
Get a good job.
Help the family. Contribute to family income.
What is considered a good job in those days?
teaching.
Mm.
Yes, because okay, I went to A level. I could actually barely squeeze into A level because what we had was English and the best three subjects.
Yeah.
So, and these four subjects, not more than 16 points. Well, Victoria School, you go up there 16, but nowadays I think not more than 8 points. So I checked, okay, the only A level classes I could get in was either, because I was on the science stream, either science or medicine. So imagine at A level, we have pre-U arts, pre-U science, and pre-university medicine. I went into medicine simply because there was no maths involved. I wasn't very good in mathematics. That's what I thought. Later on, I found out that no, it's just the misperception that was forced upon me. when I became a teacher, then I understood how to study.
I mean, it's kind of similar to Kunalan, you know. I don't know if you listen to his podcast, but he said he failed throughout, you know, his school days. A late achiever like you. Maybe that's a mark of a great person, huh?
No lah, as long as I can survive lah, okay lah. A survivor, not a great person.
Yeah. So was there a lot of what became very common later on, a lot of stress in school?
Yeah, there were a lot of stress because usually how I was motivated by study, by how the teacher taught. And up to now, I'm not sure whether my secondary school teachers really went through the proper process of teacher training. What they did was, okay, for this term, you're supposed to do chapters what until what? And so, as I look back, I think the job was to complete the syllabus on time and prepare us for the exam. Only later on, when I went to teachers' college and read up on the principles of teaching, then we are told teachers are supposed to motivate the kids to do learning themselves. So as I look back, I think that's what I did. Self-motivation when I was in primary school. But in secondary school, the subjects were more complex. We just listen, and if the teacher is not interesting, I just switch off lah. But somehow somehow I got through and went on to become a teacher myself.
Was there a lot of homework?
Yeah, there were lots of homework. Mainly revising. And then some teachers, they gave us a test at the end of every fortnight. So we make sure that, okay lah, today no time to revise. After all, the exam, the test is 5 days more. Still time to study. So a lot of last minute study.
Yeah.
But that is provided. There was a test. If there was no test, that's it. But there was a particular teacher.
Yep.
I can mention her by name in A level. She went on to become somebody in the Singapore's education
System.
policy makers.
Okay.
Doctor, policy maker. Dr. Phua Sui Liang. She's a lady. PHUA SWEELIANG. I think she appeared in the newspapers many years ago after Dr. Goh Keng Swee passed away. because she was the second doctor. She was the second Mrs. Goh Keng Swee. And wow, what she taught today, physics, tomorrow she come and fire questions.
Mm.
That means every day we got to go back and keep preparing ourselves. Don't know? Yeah. Tongue lashing. I remember her very well.
Ah.
Dr. Paul Liang. If she's listening, I say, hello, Dr. Paul.
Were there what you consider other good teachers?
There's one in secondary 2,
Mm.
Mr. Tai, T-A-Y, Tai, T-A-I, Tai, Yong, Y-O-N-G, and Tang, T-A-N-G, Tai Yong Tang. I wasn't doing well in science, and he bothered to talk to me
Mm.
and said, how can I help you? I think that was among the very few good teachers I had in secondary school. And then he encouraged me. And then he said, okay, I'm going to let you read this chapter. Tomorrow you come back here and see me again after school. And then he tested me. And then he said, hey, boy, look, you have done very well. 90%. You can do it. So in Sec 2, okay, with his encouragement, I studied my science. And then at the end of Sec 2, he was streaming to arts and science. Science are for the higher achievers. Arts are for the lower achievers.
Mm.
So sad to say, the lower achievers get to study the good subjects like history. The higher achievers study physics, chemistry, A maths, E maths, etc., etc. But anyway, I was for the O level, I did well enough to go into pre-U. So that was Mr. Tai. Most of the other teachers, that's it. I teach you, I don't care whether you know or not. If you flunk, that's your business. So a dedicated teacher like Mr. Tai, very hard to find.
Mm.
I lost touch with him. I went back to school after I became a teacher to look for Mr. Tai. He's no more there.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do you think most of the teachers at Victoria School at the time were fairly young teachers who just graduated from the Teacher Training College TTC, or they were older teachers?
So there are some relief teachers who came because they were on attachment from a TTC or whatever they went through for a few months. And then they are the ones who get bullied because we are a boys' school.
Yeah.
So if the teacher is a lady, a young lady fresh from college, wow, she get it from us.
What did y'all do?
Imitated the way she talk, imitated the way she walk. If she call you to come up to the blackboard, and then we walk that way and go to the blackboard. So for us, we are very good imitators. And then we say, hi. And then she say, boys. And then the whole class say, boys.
Just horrible boys, you guys.
Yeah, horrible. Very challenging. Yeah. Very challenging for them.
How was it like being in a boys' school? I came from a co-ed school, so I have no idea. How was it like being in a boys' school? Do you think it was good in that way or bad?
So for us, okay, good in the sense that all we are guys. And although I don't take part in sports, during recess or after school, we play very rough games. Bola hantam. Those days, bola hantam. Hantam in the Malay word means hit, but bola means ball. So a group of us, 10, 15, throw the ball into the sky, and all rush for the ball. Whoever get the ball will hit the next guy with it. That's it. So today, as I look at the Australian channel, they play a game called footy, Australian football, Aussie rules of footy. Yeah, the ball, the referee threw the ball into the air and all run and bump. As you're running up, you elbow the other guy near to you. And as a result, fights break out. But being well-behaved boys in school, see you at Jalan Besar. So the two of them meet each other, and then after school we'll go to Jalan Besar Stadium. And then those of us who are in the group went there to cheer leader, and then they fight.
Teachers ever found out?
But then, well, the teachers didn't find out, but some of the nosy prefects who happened to pass by will go and stop the fight. Don't do again, eh? You do again, I bring you to teacher, So that was it. And the fun thing was that they settled on the spot after the fighting. And then somehow or other, when one get tired, the other also stop fighting. And then, okay, go home. No such thing as forming gangs next day. And no.
Yeah.
Very gentlemanly.
Yeah. Yeah. And the boys
Yeah.
are probably also quite forgiving lah, in the sense. The fight over
Yeah.
is over, all right?
Fight over is over. So nowadays we hear about in the bear grudges and all that. So no.
Yeah.
Not during my time. And not within my own class, I know. So some of us who have friends in primary school who went on to KS school. So we meet them and say, hey, your school, the girls can tackle or not? Can tackle or not? So that's what we are curious about. As boys, we always behave like boys. But KS schools, we didn't know how they behave. And so we just ask, how are the girls in your school? Nice or not? Pretty or not? Hey, you do funny things or not? So, because in primary school, our KS school, we did funny things. Like, for example, after a rain, our small school field will be flooded. And within a couple of days, the tadpoles will hatch into tiny frogs. And we'll catch these tiny frogs. During recess, we open the girls' pencil box or the bags and put these little frogs inside. These little frogs, they just shed the tail. And then we have, that was primary school. So in secondary school, we asked them, do you play the same things with your girl classmates?
Quite naughty, yeah?
Yeah, very naughty.
Okay, I asked you this before in the previous podcast. The 60s was the time of Singapore's political development, right? And we were becoming a nation soon. In school, did your teachers talk about or your principal talk about the politics?
Only at A level. Because Singapore got our, 1963. I was in Sec 4. So 1963, the government was preparing us for merger. Merger in 1963. We went in for 2 years and 65 we came out. So towards our Sec 3 and Sec 4 years, because and I think also Mr. LKY, he made radio speeches to promote merger and Malaysia. And we also had national songs to promote Malaysia. For example, how that with Malaysia, we're all in the same boats. We're all in the same boats, 10 million strong. So instead of 2 million, we'll be 10 million strong. So the song. And then, of course, the diffusion, newspapers and radio also. Merger with Malaysia, as sure as the sun rises. We hear such slogans on TV. Not, I think TV just started in 1963. Black and white, only a few hours. And then they play these national songs about staying together with Malaysia.
Mm.
And the schools organize inter-school quizzes. And we are all given books to read about the benefits of being parts of Malaysia. And so some of us were selected to go to, those days was Radio Singapore, to take part in quizzes against other schools based on what we learned. For example, in Singapore right now, so for example, we are opening up this tax exempt status for new companies coming to Singapore to invest. They call it pioneer status.
Mm-hmm.
So questions on pioneer status will be asked, and that's it. And I remember I attended that, not in the panel, and we lost to Methodist Girls' School. Victoria lost to Methodist Girls' School. And for us, it's a big blow.
Yeah. Were any of the students that you know, your classmates, politically active? You know, I mean, some of them, the early boys became politicians, right? Like Devan Nair, Dana Balan, so on.
Yeah. So they were far ahead of us. Because I think they're all in the 80s now, and then Devan Nair has passed on. My class, no. But after my class, there was Dr. Ong Chit Chung.
Historian.
Yeah, he went. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
And he was
military historian.
Yeah. Was he a naval historian or something?
Yeah, military.
He went on to become an MP and also a senior minister of state or something like that, a parliamentary secretary. Yeah. And of course, later on we hear about our, Mr. And for all those that you mentioned, they are our very much seniors. Juniors, not that I know of, except many years after me, Mr. Teo Ser Luck.
Okay.
Teo Ser Luck also went on to become an MP.
Much later, yeah.
Much later. Okay, about politically active teachers. Anti-merger teacher, Mr. Lim. Yeah.
Sorry, what's his name?
I just call him Mr. Lim. He has passed on already, but he's a character. Well known in Singapore drama circles. Mr. Lim Yi Guan. He was anti-merger. And then he said things like, so just now I was talking about the slogan, merger with Malaysia as sure as the sun rises. His version is merger with Malaysia as sure as Black Monday. And then the song merger with Malaysia 10 million strong. This version is merger and Malaysia 10 million wrong.
It's quite amazing that he was able to do this in school, yeah?
Yeah. So, but I think later on, he left the school for whatever reason. He went into drama, because I saw him at the drama center later on. And I think he got liver cancer and he died. I think too much drinking. He was known as a drinker. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Interesting characters.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, right? Do you miss your school? After all these years, do you still find the school very memorable?
Yeah, to me it's memorable because as as we get connected with the school song,
Mm.
well, you asked me about Mr. Dick Yip, whether I know him,
Mm.
ukulele master.
Yep.
Yeah, he was 2 years my junior in Victoria School. He also ended up as a sports teacher. So each time we get together and he's on his ukulele, we strum and we sing together. So for us, is okay. That is the connection. And also in those days, when I had time and I was more mobile, I'll never miss the Victoria School annual dinner and dance.
Mm.
Uh, at the dinner and dance, we get to meet friends who are around our same age, either 1 year older or 1 year younger, or we just recognize. And at the beginning of the banquet or the dinner, when everybody erupts in the school song, that was great. Especially the part that says uh, Victoria School in Singapore. There are many schools we know, but Victoria School is something more. The school that watched us grow. And then the final part is Victoria, thy sons are we, and we will not forget. Victoria, thy triumph see,
Mm.
and victories we share yet. For others came before and went and carried to the world Victoria's fame and our intent to keep her flag unfurled. So I think that song itself, written by some maybe I think they were English teachers of years gone by for Victoria School, and that remains in our mind.
Yeah, just amazing. You can recite word for word.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and definitely, Dick. Thank you for reminding me. I must get him on the podcast soon. Also.